You know, from the darkest corners of the underworld to the highest heavens, we humans have populated our world with this incredible menagerie of mythical creatures. So today, we're going to take a journey through that mythic imagination to understand not just what these creatures are, but why we even create them in the first place. And it all starts with one fundamental question. It's a fascinating question, right? I mean, from ancient Greece to Japan to the Americas, you won't find a single culture without its legends of impossible beasts. And what's so compelling is that these inventions, they're not random at all. They actually reveal our deepest fears, our highest ideals, and the very rules we try to live by. So let's start with the rule keepers. You see, a lot of the most famous creatures aren't agents of chaos. They're actually agents of order. They're the guardians, kind of like the bouncers of the mythical world, who stand at the thresholds we are just not meant to cross. A guardian's job is, well, pretty simple. Keep people out, or in some cases, keep things in. They represent the lines we draw in the sand, between life and death, the sacred and the everyday, the known and the terrifyingly unknown. And if you cross their path, you'd better be ready for a serious test. Just take Cerberus, the ultimate gatekeeper. This is not just some scary dog. With his 3 heads and a serpent's tail, he is the literal embodiment of a one-way street. He's there to make sure that death is final, a boundary that you just can't casually hop over. He's not really a monster. He's a fundamental law of nature given a truly fearsome form. But here's where it gets really interesting. Not all guardians test your strength. The Sphinx, with her lion's body and human head, tested your mind. Her famous riddle, the answer, by the way, is man, forced heroes to stop and think about the human condition itself. If you failed the test, well, you were devoured. It just goes to show you, sometimes the biggest barrier isn't a wall, but a simple lack of understanding. Okay, so what happens when creatures don't enforce the rules, but completely shatter them? This brings us to the hybrids, these bizarre fusions that defy the natural order and often represent some deep internal conflicts. And the centaur is the perfect example. In a way, the centaur is us. The top half is human, capable of reason, wisdom, teaching, just like the noble Chiron. But the bottom half is all animal, wild, impulsive, untamed. The centaur is basically a walking, galloping metaphor for the struggle going on inside every single one of us, that constant battle between our brain and our base instincts. So, if the centaur is all about internal conflict, the chimera is pure external chaos. I mean, think about it. A lion's body, a goat's head sticking out of its back, and a serpent for a tail. It's a creature that just flat out should not exist. Every part is wrong. The chimera represents this terrifying idea that the laws of nature themselves can just unravel, creating something truly monstrous and unnatural. All right, so from the physical world, let's now turn to the unseen. A lot of myths feature spirits, beings that aren't quite monsters and not quite gods either. They often embody the duality of nature itself. You know, they're capable of great good, but also great harm. And nothing shows this better than the Draken. In the West, it's a greedy, fire-breathing terror just waiting to be slain by a hero. But in the East, totally different story. It's a wise, benevolent spirit of water and prosperity, the one who brings rain for the crops. It's the exact same concept, a giant, powerful reptile, but seen through 2 completely different cultural lenses. One is about fear and conquest, the other is about respect and harmony. And you know, sometimes that duality exists within a single myth. In Japanese folklore, the kitsune, or fox spirit, can be a zenko, a good fox, a messenger of the gods bringing good fortune, or it can be a yako, a wild fox, a mischievous trickster that absolutely loves to deceive humans. It's a perfect reflection of how nature can be both a huge blessing and a clever trick. Okay, now we're going to venture into the darkest part of the imagination. These are the creatures that aren't just challenging or tricky. They are the personification of our most primal fears, the problems that seem impossible to solve, and the forces that threaten to just consume us completely. The Hydra is the ultimate symbol of a problem that just gets worse the more you fight it. Cut off one head, 2 more pop up. It represents that awful, overwhelming feeling of facing a challenge that just seems to grow with every single effort. It's not just a monster, it's the embodiment of a recursive nightmare. And then there's the Wendigo, from Algonquian folklore. It's this gaunt, skeletal creature that's born when a human resorts to cannibalism. This monster is a powerful, powerful cautionary tale against selfishness and insatiable greed, an endless hunger that consumes others and, in the end, completely destroys your own humanity. And then there's Fenrir, the great wolf of Norse mythology. This is a creature so terrifying that the gods themselves were afraid of him. They managed to bind him with a magical ribbon, but they know it's just a temporary fix. There's a prophecy hanging over all of them. During Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, Fenrir will break free, and he will devour Odin, the All-Father, the king of the gods himself. Fenrir isn't just a threat. He represents our deepest fear of the inevitable, that inescapable doom that waits for even the most powerful among us. But our myths don't just leave us in despair. For every creature of destruction, there's also one of renewal. After exploring all of our deepest fears, our imagination also gives us these incredibly powerful symbols of hope, eternity, and rebirth. The Ouroboros is one of the most ancient and, honestly, most profound symbols we have. The serpent eating its own tail perfectly captures this idea that endings are also beginnings. It represents the eternal, unbroken cycle of life, death, and creation. A really comforting thought that nothing is ever truly lost for good. And finally, of course, the phoenix. This magnificent bird doesn't just die. It sets itself on fire and is reborn from its own ashes. It is the ultimate symbol of resilience, of hope, and the promise that you can always have a fresh start. It tells us that even from total destruction, something new and beautiful can emerge. So, we come full circle. Our monsters guard our boundaries, they embody our inner conflicts, they reflect nature's duality, and they give form to our greatest fears and our deepest hopes. They really are a mirror to the human soul. So the real question is, if we were to create a new myth today, what monster would we invent? And what would it say about us now?